Israel's Security Cabinet has started discussing a proposed ceasefire deal in its war with Hezbollah in Lebanon. The meeting is taking place in Tel Aviv. The talks come amid relentless airstrikes over Beirut, with images showing massive explosions tearing through the southern suburbs, sending thick plumes of smoke skywards. Israeli fighter jets continue to pound Hezbollah strongholds in Lebanon, even as cross-border fire intensifies. On Sunday, Hezbollah launched around 250 projectiles into Israeli territory, further deepening the crisis. The proposed deal, reported by U.S. media, includes a 60-day transition period. Under the terms, Israeli ground forces will withdraw from Lebanon and the Lebanese army will redeploy near the border, while the Hezbollah will relocate its heavy weaponry north of the Litani River. Uncertainty, however, marks the acceptance of these terms by the two sides. Hours before the deal, the IDF released a 3D model illustrating the Israeli military operations against the Iranian weapon smuggling routes via Syria to Hezbollah in Lebanon.
The cabinet will be joining this afternoon in order to discuss this agreement. It is extremely sensitive, and I do not want to go into details about it because of the sensitivity of the issue.
Speaking at a G7 meeting in Italy, Lebanon's foreign minister hoped a ceasefire will end the fighting between Israel and Lebanese armed group Hezbollah.
We are against that. We wanted to stop it because the country was paralyzed. Although it is in few parts of the country the fighting was, but the country as a whole is paralyzed. And we wanted to finish this and to have a ceasefire. Hopefully by tonight we will have this ceasefire.
Meanwhile, the human cost of the conflict is staggering. Lebanon reported 3,768 deaths since October last year, with casualties surging in recent weeks. On the Israeli side, 82 soldiers and 47 civilians have been killed in the clashes. International pressure is also mounting. The US, European Union and United Nations are urging an immediate end to the hostilities that erupted into full-scale war in late September. Yet, with tensions running high and both sides entrenched, achieving a lasting ceasefire remains uncertain. As the Israeli cabinet weighs in on its decision, the world is watching anxiously. The stakes are high, not just for the region, but also for global stability. Dr. Alan Bastien is a professor of political science at Israel Institute Fellow and Tufts University. He's now joining us live. Dr. Bastien, thank you very much for making time for us and welcome to the program. Hezbollah or Lebanese officials, excuse me for that. Lebanese officials are saying that they're confident a truce will be reached by tonight. Do you think that will be possible?
Thank you for having me. All sides seem to want this truce to come through now, each for their own internal political desires. In Lebanon and in Israel, there seems to be desire that both sides will come together. So it does seem possible. The big question is going to be, how long does it last? We've had a massive escalation between the sides already back in 2006. Then it only lasted 29 days. However, also then, they came to some agreement. That was the famous Security Council Resolution 1701. And the sides agreed to part ways. Less than 20 years later, here we are again. So the question is, a ceasefire probably will be reached. What happens in the next 60 days? And can more stability be brought to the areas of southern Lebanon and northern Israel?
Mm-hmm. We do expect the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to speak in about an hour's time. What do we, or how do you foresee this speech by the Israeli Prime Minister? Will he be announcing that truce or not?
So he may not actually announce the formal truce because it may have to be signed a little bit later, but he's probably going to try to sell to the Israeli population a package in which this is not a ultimate ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah. Instead, he's going to try to frame it and say this is a 60-day truce, and that is the transition period, 2 months, 60 days, after which time Israel is going to evaluate how the truce has been implemented. Has the Lebanese army deployed and Hezbollah pulled back? He is probably going to frame it as something temporary, saying, and then we'll decide if it's complete ceasefire or not. he's probably going to anger the Lebanese side that wants more to view this as a ceasefire starting now and having no turning back. However, he has to sell it to the Israeli population, and really he has to find a way to say, despite the fact that Hezbollah is still going to continue to exist, it is going to have its weaponry, Israel has no faith that Hezbollah is actually going to decide it's not fighting Israel anymore, he's going to have to sell to his right-wing coalition. Somehow this is in Israel's interest, so he's going to try to probably minimize how permanent this is.
What's the significance of all this? On one end, we have Israel and Hezbollah talking about a ceasefire, and on another, we have a senior Hezbollah official and a member of parliament saying that Hezbollah will remain active after its war with Israel ends. What's the significance of all this?
So Hezbollah is both a political organization and a vast militant and terror organization. Both of those have been hit very hard by Israel during this war. However, Hezbollah is far from destroyed. I mean, I've spoken to your channel in the past about the prospect that Israel wants to destroy Hamas. And I've said it's impossible to just destroy an organization solely by force. Hezbollah is going to continue to exist no matter what because it's also a political force. However, it still has a lot of its military capabilities. Even if Israel is saying that it destroyed between 70 to 75% of its military capabilities, Hezbollah had between 130 and 150,000 rockets and missiles before the war. That still means they still have a lot in place. Hezbollah is also trying to sell the deal and why it's accepting the deal to its population, and it is saying the opposite from Netanyahu. Right? While Netanyahu is saying that Hezbollah has been beaten and therefore it was willing to accept the truce, Hezbollah is trying to say, no, we're accepting the deal now because we haven't been beaten, because we're going to continue to exist. The big question is what's going to be the balance of power within Lebanon. Up until now, the Lebanese army did not have any real foothold in southern Lebanon. Hezbollah was the only dominant force in the region. Now it seems that Lebanon also wants to assert its dominance in southern Lebanon and possibly push Hezbollah further north. Will Hezbollah accept this? Or will Hezbollah turn towards more militant activity within Lebanon also? That's going to be the real question that Lebanon now has to deal with in the coming months.
We'll have to leave it there. I've been talking to Dr. Alon Bastin, who is a professor of political science at Israeli Institute, fellow and Tufts University. Dr. Bastin, thank you very much for your time and for talking to us today.
Thank you for having me. Have a good day.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.